Absent. Yes. All right.
Thanks, Ryan. The motion passes and the minutes are approved. Okay, so for our second item of regular business, we are joined by Jill Drilvich. Am I saying that correctly? Drivich.
It's Drelovich.
Drilovich, thank you.
And actually, she was trying to get in and couldn't get in. It looks like I'm the only one here from our group tonight.
I think I see her, but I can't hear her. I think she's on mute still. I see somebody talking.
She doesn't know how to get the microphone working.
Oh, is she able to unmute? You know what you can do maybe is you could log off and restart your computer and log back in.
I told her to do that, and that, that was
that's a lot.
This was her second try.
Shoot. Okay. Goodness. And Joy Hagan and Francesca Vargas Smith.
And Francesca, I thought she knew, about the meeting, but she's not here.
Okay. So anyway,
hello.
Oh, hi.
Yes, hi.
It worked.
Thank my partner.
So they are all here tonight to share details about the Tipping Point project. Sarah mentioned this project and gave us a preview at our last meeting last month. And a project description is in our agenda packet. So welcome, Jill, Joy, and Francesca.
Hello.
Well, not Francesca. Welcome. I'm glad to hear and see you. And please take it away.
Oh, take it away.
Yeah.
the tech savvy person. Well, Joy had said that it would be basically a question and answer period. So I didn't prepare anything to take away. I'm sorry.
Other than what we presented to you in the paperwork.
Well, could you just give us a quick, just for the sake of people that might be watching at home, just a quick overview of the project? Just,
you guys, I don't want to repeat stuff for you, but you guys had the packet, right?
Yes.
So it was a brainchild of mine from in the 70s after protesting nuclear power plants. And finally got it to a point now where we're ready to bring it to the public in projects. And we introduced the blades a couple of years ago at the Seattle Design Fair in a project called, okay, Jill, remember, Power of Trust. So that was 3 years ago, actually. And now we're working on this with you guys. And there's another group that Fancy is in charge of that's doing a Black Lives Matter project with the blades, and it's already been approved, and it's going to be at the Renton Airport.
Oh,
so
cool.
Yeah, so this one is Tipping Point, and I asked people to reflect on tipping points in their life and how it has affected their choices and so forth. And I've got 7 artists that would like to do it with you, plus 7 artists that just joined us from the Black Lives Matter movement. So it's a good group of people with some incredible tipping point ideas.
So would this be like 7 to 14 actual blades that have been used as art pieces by the artist?
It could be, yeah. I mean, that's what we had planned on, but if you didn't want that many blades, then we could have 2 people working on one, or some people doing this project and other, waiting for the next project.
And
we're open.
They be displayed sort of like a pop-up in different places on the island, or would you envision them all together in one spot?
Well, we put both ideas to Sarah, and we were open to either of them. Doing like a treasure hunt type thing would be really cool at different places, or we could put it in as one called the meeting place, where they're all in a circle and they're symbolizing different people and their tipping points.
Ooh.
So it's called The Gathering.
Very cool. Yeah. Which we don't get to do much of right now.
No.
So symbolic in that way too, right?
That's really a cool thought. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love the idea. Does anyone else have any questions or thoughts or comments?
I see Suzanne's hand is up.
Suzanne?
You're
That's
on mute.
And now I'm on, ugh, good grief. Sorry.
Hey, I'm the same
yeah, I
way.
do have a question. So, and maybe it's Sarah, or maybe I'm just out of the loop here, but are we just borrowing these, and what's the period of time, and what's the logistics behind this project?
Good question. And we're open to the amount of time. We're open to whether somebody would like to buy them, or if they're just there, as you say, borrowed for whatever period of time you'd like them at the park. What I did when I first put this call out was the artists get to keep the blades and do what they want with them. So I was basically gifting them to the artists to give them voice, and they're supposed to be documenting the process of painting the blades, thinking about the blades and so forth. And then we're gonna do a book. And then the idea is to do a culminating book with any profits from the book going to nonprofit art agencies.
And I can chime in to your question, Suzanne. So this project originally came to us through Claudia Zimmerman, who you might remember when she was our MyVol liaison, when we were able to meet in person. She knows Joy, and so Joy reached out to me about one or multiple projects in the outdoor gallery. And so we started kind of having a conversation from that standpoint. So really, you know, this conversation, there's nothing set in stone or anything like that. This was more an opportunity to share an overview of the project, answer different questions, and, you know, maybe going forward, seeing if there's interest from the Arts Council, and if so, identifying someone who might work with, you know, staff and Jill and Joy to explore opportunities for bringing this project fully to the island.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah. Anna Meha, and then Suzanne maybe has a follow-up after.
Yeah, I wanted to understand what the cost structure of renting versus like owning the pieces, you know, for the island.
There is no cost structure. We're not charging you to rent them. We would just like to display them there and have some sort of a stipend to pay for transportation, installation, and supplies for painting the blades and so forth.
So how does that
and
look like? Sorry, go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, with the outdoor gallery in the past, we have offered a stipend to artists to install their work. We ensure the pieces that are on view in the gallery for sale. Art that would be for sale in the same way that you know, like the one-to-one with process that we already have in place. So that's just something to consider. It would probably be something that we evaluate down the road from a temporary art standpoint, what the cost recovery needed to support the artist and installing might be.
Great, thank you.
Although if the city wanted to buy it all.
That was pretty much my question, but I do have a question about, in the packet, there was the blade that's nice and shinied up and has the tipping point description on it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that comes along with the project? Because I think it would be pretty meaningful and might not be so understood if we don't have something to help people understand what the 7 to 14 statues or sculptures are about.
There was going to be a place with the statement exactly like you said, but I like the idea of putting the writing on one of the blades that have been chromed. See, that I just did in a program with cut and paste, you know, putting some text on it. But yeah, we could do that.
For me, that was the most meaningful part, because I think we're at a tipping point in so many ways.
Exactly.
Politically,
exactly.
environmentally. And I
Yep.
think utilizing, you know, if it were me, I don't want to get into the details of the project, but I mean, having the whole thing in the sculpture garden from Link Light Rail Station head to Link Light Rail Station head, to me, that is a tipping point for us, as, you know, it's almost like a teeter-totter between Bellevue and Seattle.
Yeah, yeah. I like your thinking.
And it's got a lot of punch. I mean, to distribute the one with the flowers on it, if that was just, if I came upon that by itself in a park, I might not even see it, to be.
That was not part of the exhibit. That was just a picture to show you. I painted that years ago, and Joy included it in the packet just to see what it looked like painted. But that's not one of the blades for the project. All the blades for the project will clearly identify their tipping points.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just have one little detail question. I'm curious what the blades are actually made out of. What did they make?
They're a fiberglass type material, and it's interesting because I bought them from a metal recycler who bought them all thinking they were aluminum, and they were just going to recycle them. And then they found out that they were this fiberglass, so there wasn't, you know, the money in the metal recycling. Thank goodness, or they wouldn't have been there. So, and I have two different people working on the blades now, seeing how hard it is to cut into them. We had drilled the bases for the Seattle Design Fair, so I know that they can be drilled quite easily. But the thing we're waiting for is to find out how easily we can cut into them and do shadow play on the blades and, you know, different things like that. And structurally, what we can do, because some of us would like to do sculptures versus just painting on them, you know, like a tipping point blade where the blade is actually almost falling over, you know, and an object like a feather is really close to it, symbolizing how close we are to you know, a global tipping point. So
They also weigh 200 pounds. They're not lightweight.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
for styrofoam, it's like
200 pounds
crazy.
each.
yep.
And how big are they?
About,
each?
well, the dimensions are in the unconventional call, but I think they're about 4 foot something.
Well, they're sizable.
by
Yeah.
by close
Yep.
to 6. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it could be a really, really dramatic statement here on Mercer Island. And I love the opportunity for our community to have something like that to inspire and I think it's great.
They're just such an iconic item, you know, that everyone around the world can identify with as kind of a tipping point, you know, it's danger. You see the nuclear sign and that's danger, you know? And so that was the whole purpose of using them in an installation like this.
And they're a bit of Washington State history.
Yeah, they are.
If
And
anybody remembers the Sat-Sop fiasco.
Well, I am very, oops. Is somebody saying something?
Yeah,
No?
Sarah, I think you should probably
No.
join from the phone and just use Zoom on laptop, but don't like use it with video.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna have an interesting meeting without Sarah because she's got the most to say.
Yeah, I'm hosting capability.
Huh. Okay. Well, you know, I want to thank you all for joining us and presenting this idea to us. We are in the middle of close, I think, nearing the end of developing our arts reset plan for Mercer Island. So
Okay.
we can figure out how to incorporate this into that plan. And really, really appreciate you all coming
you.
and sharing with
appreciate
us.
being here.
I'm excited about the opportunity. So
Yay.
I'll,
Are we?
Yeah, just keep in touch with us, you know, keeping us up to date on the information, and then we can give you more detail of what we're doing, and I could talk to the artists and get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Oh, one last question, and maybe it was in the materials. Are any of them on ball bearings so that they turn?
They can be. The one that you saw with the picture of the flowers, that's on a turnable.
Yeah, that's
thing.
really sweet to add the motion to it. Yeah.
Yep. And I like the idea of that. The ones that I showed you with the chroming, they were chromed on both sides. I'd like to see them chromed on one side with painting on the other. So you've got the problem and the solution. You know, and we are the solution. So every blade you look at, then you see yourself, and it makes it proactive.
I have one last question, Jill. They look super cool, and I can't wait to see the actual, especially the one that's curly.
Yeah.
So what, do you have a timeline for your, the project, or?
We were waiting to hear
I don't
from
remember
you.
seeing that.
No, because we didn't know what you guys were doing. And so we haven't solidified any timeline, because each of them are independent, different, no matter, excuse me, wherever we show them, there'll be a different timeline. So my understanding was that you wouldn't be ready for them for at least a year. But if it would be sooner, that would be great.
Okay. Well, that sounds like far away out, but Sarah would know more about that timing than I would.
And we're
Yeah.
flexible.
If we know we have a deadline, then of course have at it. But we were assuming it was something like maybe first quarter of next year.
Yeah, I don't know what, I think that light rail station isn't set to open. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. 2023? Is that when it's supposed to open? It would be pretty cool to have something that coincides, but that sounds like a long ways away right now. So
I think that's also doable. I mean, it's, it doesn't put as much pressure on the artists to get things done, and these aren't so easy to move around. So it's a much bigger endeavor than painting on canvas or even making a mural, because you have
But
to
I
move
think
these
that it
things.
would be really cool if we did some of them, we could do some of them sooner than light rail opens, as kind of like a draw you in, and then add the rest of them for the opening of it.
that's a great idea. So, okay. So it sounds like at the least we're looking at sort of a longer term project. We're looking out rather
Right.
than sooner. Okay.
Yep.
That's helpful. Okay, well, if anyone
All right.
has any other questions, jump on in. Otherwise, we'll move on with the agenda, and hopefully we'll be seeing you guys sooner than later. And
Yeah. Very good. Thank you.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right. So the next thing on our agenda is the arts reset planning, which it's actually our third item of regular business. And we need to have an update and talk about next steps for moving forward with our items in the 2021 Arts Reset Plan. City Council appropriated the rest of the Recreation Reset funding on April 20th, which included our request for $20,000. Thank you, Council. To offer a limited Mostly Music in the Park series and plan to reopen the indoor gallery. So if we can have Sarah and our consultant Emily Moon join us to give us an update on the plan and help us identify where we should go now, and now that we have the funding resources.
Thank you. This is Ryan.
Ryan, are you taking charge?
I try to sometimes. Sarah just texted me and said nothing is working in her area technology wise. So of course it waits until Arts Council for that to occur. But with that, I'll just introduce Emily. She is on the phone to give a brief update on where we are in the planning process. Emily?
Great. Hi, all. I'm just going to confirm that you can hear me.
Yes, can hear you really well.
Great. Awesome. All right. Well, Erin did a good job of giving the highlights from what happened on April 20th. The City Council did indeed make the appropriation for the Arts Council's early phase of implementing a reset plan. And tonight, I just wanted to talk a little bit about where we're headed on the recreation side first, because if any of you saw what was in the packet for April 20th, or if you happen to watch the meeting, you'll know that on the recreation side and the community center, event center side, the City Council also made an appropriation, but didn't really designate specific uses. It went broadly toward implementing programs and services under the recreation umbrella. So it was left up to staff to, again, monitor how the pandemic was going. That was at a moment in time where we all thought we were going to go back to phase 2 under the governor's plan. That didn't happen. So we wanted to stay flexible. So tonight I wanted to tell you where we're headed on the recreation reset. So the next phase will include a focus on special events permitting and partnership and collaboration with the community. In part, that will mean recreation staff helping the Arts Council to implement the concerts for mostly music in the park. And we're expecting there will be some other community groups that will also want to hold some special events through the remainder of 2021. And there may be other city-sponsored, city-run events as well. So in addition to helping out with special events in the community, the Recreation Reset next phase will include renting the gymnasium at the community center, being able to provide the staffing that's necessary for that, and a few drop-in activities at the community center. And for at least the first few initial months, those drop-in activities will focus mainly on fitness and sports because they will be hosted in the gymnasium as well. We're still trying to keep the active footprint at the community center to a manageable size, given that we're not at full staffing. We're not anywhere close to where we were in 2019, and because there are still some pandemic guidelines that we need to adhere to with regard to occupancy, cleaning, etc. And then the last item that was included in our Rec Reset next phase is the possibility of running and hosting a few outdoor recreation opportunities. And we know the community has been encouraged to get outside, to get refamiliarized with the city's parks. And we think there is a great opportunity for rec staff to help with that. So I wanted to also describe what we think the visitor traffic will look like at the community center. We talked a little bit about this at a previous Art Council meeting, but now that we have better sense of what programs and activities will be taking place there, I wanted to make sure that the Arts Council was aware. So you can picture that there will be kids and parents during the summertime as we operate summer camp in and around the facility. There will be fitness and sports participants who are there via the gym rentals or drop-in activities, and that's probably about it. We're still working on describing the hours of operation or the days that the facility will be open, but as we've said before at Arts Council meetings, the facility will only be open for those specific activities. It won't be open for people to just come in and hang out, and people won't be encouraged to really stay after their planned activities are done, again, because we have these occupancy restrictions still in place and we have lower staff levels at this time. So given those factors, after I get done kind of talking about a couple of highlights here, I wanted to ask the Arts Council how it feels, knowing what activities are happening at the center, about putting that effort into getting the art gallery exhibits up and running in 2021. As you know, we were talking about 1 to 3 exhibits with MyBall really helping to provide some volunteers to get those exhibits up and to take them down. We discussed that there wouldn't be art sales occurring. This would just be for kind of viewership opportunities. And at our last meeting, there was a little discussion about perhaps having an invitation-only gallery opening night with each exhibit. And while I think that's still possible, I want to remind the Arts Council that there will be some restrictions. For example, we won't be allowing catering or kind of food in the building, again, because of some of those COVID-19 regulations that make it just a little bit more cumbersome on staff. And I wanted to make sure that our Arts Council felt like it was ready to be support those events and understood who might be able to attend both during the opening night and to see the exhibit while they're up. So I guess I'll pause now and ask if there's any additional feelings from Arts Council members about moving forward with planning some art gallery exhibits in 2021, given where the Recreation Division is headed with facility use for the remainder of the year.
I just have a question, Emily. This is Erin. Maybe I misheard what you just said, but did you say that we are not planning on any art sales through the gallery?
That's correct. We talked about that at the beginning of the reset planning. We spoke about the art gallery. We said that we would not have front desk staff available to handle art sales. I think there's a possibility that we might be able to do that during an event, like an opening night, but we won't have staff there at all hours that the facility is open, nor will we be inviting that foot traffic in to just look at the art and then potentially purchase it. It would only be viewed by those folks that are coming into the community center for summer camp or the drop-in sports activities that will be happening in the gymnasium. There's some possibility that as we get later into the year, we may start to invite some additional visitors to the community center as we offer additional drop-in programs, but we won't know if we're staffed up and ready to be able to do that until we get a little further into summertime. Right now, with our hiring timeline, we're not expecting to have additional staff on until July.
Okay, I just, maybe I don't remember that discussion about the gallery, because my understanding is that one of the main points of our gallery is that it brings in income, that's the point, is to sell the art. And it seems like we could offer the art for sale under some sort of, you know, it doesn't have to be somebody sitting there to facilitate the sales, but a phone number to call, similar to what we do with the outdoor gallery. You know, it doesn't have to be manned, but I don't know, that's, I guess, maybe something for further discussion, but I had missed that point, that we weren't going to be offering anything for sale. And I think that changes the conversation a little bit, but maybe I'm behind the times. Eric, do you have?
Yeah, well, I was just, you said what I was going to say. I mean, I don't remember that either. And I think it would be great if some of the artists could sell their pieces. I mean, they haven't been able to do so in over a year. And I mean, couldn't we get creative? Couldn't we just say, you know, contact via email and we have a pickup period? I mean, I'll volunteer time if I need to be there on a Saturday to walk the artwork out to the purchase person. Or, I mean, I don't know what, you know, if we have a couple windows of time where they could actually pick up the artwork, you know, they wouldn't maybe get it right away, but if they could buy it and then wait for a window to do a drive-by and pick up. But, you know, and I mean, if we're gonna have people in the building, the other thing I was gonna say is I think it's important, those walls look pretty empty without art. So if there's people in the building, let's find a way to get some kind of artwork in there, even if it wasn't for sale. But man, we should do everything we can to get this stuff for sale, my opinion.
Thanks,
So
Eric.
Aaron and our council members, I think we could work to do something different than we have done before. I think the point that we had tried to make earlier in a previous meeting was we don't anticipate staff being able to provide that, you know, daily basis kind of customer service and do the art sales. But I think, as Eric suggested, and Aaron, as you were also suggesting, we could try to come up with something creative where it's more of a one time or twice during each exhibit where the artwork could be purchased and could be transferred, for example.
Okay, thanks, Emily. Shishi, I see your hand up.
Yes, hi. This is super exciting and encouraging. As someone who worked quite a bit with assisting Amy, the former chair of the indoor gallery, I think we have such a desirable space. And now with the door open, I think it would be great to rebuild some of that momentum that we had before. You know, obviously it has to be within the guidelines. You know, sale or not sale, I'm all for it. I do have some thoughts on how to, like, you know, simple things that we could do to facilitate if we want to go for the sale direction, such as we could have like a sheet explaining to visitors, the limited number of visitors, how it could work. They could take a sticky note or some sort of note. If they want to buy the piece of art, they could put their contact next to the art, claiming that they're interested in purchasing it. And so when there is a staff or volunteer could check that off and contact them and you know, proceed with the sale, you know, something like that. But I just, I think it's super exciting that, you know, we're bringing some kind of a little bit of normal back to the community center.
Thanks, Shishi. I agree. Ryan, is your hand up?
I lost my raise hand button, but I did just want to chime in real briefly off of a couple of things Emily was saying and kind of let you know where we're starting to go with some of our processes as a whole at the community center. And I think there is an element that maybe could be of interest to the Arts Council, and that's we're really pushing our online systems. So I don't know if there's an opportunity for an online gallery showcasing what's in the community center, as well as an online purchasing process. I'm kind of spewing out a lot of ideas here, but these are the conversations that Emily and I are kind of having in the background of what are our potential capabilities through our systems that we have. We don't know for sure what the limits are. So I think coming back to the Arts Council at a future meeting and sharing some of those opportunities could be a real benefit. And community center right now, it's a little bare. So I definitely feel your guys' feelings on this one.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Yeah, I definitely agree. There's some creative ways we could make it work. Like I said, just like the outdoor gallery, there's not somebody there. I think there's just a phone number you call if, I mean, I haven't bought a piece from the outdoor gallery, but there's a way to make it work. Carol, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was appropriate for me to talk, but I texted Sarah and she told me to
go. Of course.
Yeah, I know. I thought I didn't know. we have this model. Myville has the model. I mean, we do venues all the time. And it can be adapted to however you guys need it to be adapted. I mean, it can track to whoever you need it to track. I mean, we put up art all over the city, and we put a phone number. If you want to buy it, you call, and then it gets and then someone calls you back, and it gets processed. And then you can pick up, you can drop off. You know, it all can be adapted, and that's not a problem. And I can't remember the second part. Oh, Ryan was talking about online. You know, we've also put our gallery online in the last 8 months because we had to. You know, we weren't open. We needed people to see the art. People weren't comfortable coming out. We know how to build a slideshow of all of the images that can be then turned into a YouTube video. While it's in slideshow format, we can change things in and out. It sits on a Google Drive, and if something gets sold, you can pull it off, or you can change the label and say it's been sold. And we've used the YouTube condenses it. We've used that to allow people to actually broadcast our exhibitions so that they can, you know, they can use them. Like, for example, Covenant Shores used our lantern project that way, and they put it on the CCTV. So we have a lot of models for this, and we also have, in a regular year, we put Junior Art Show in there. That's a non-buying show. So if we want to start with something that doesn't involve that, we could come back in with Junior Art Show. It's appropriate for the people who will be in the building. It doesn't have to even take up all of the space, but I mean, there are those kinds of options, and there's also options for bringing back the kind of thing that you've had, which is, you know, sort of regular adult exhibits with sales. But yeah, but you know, we're available to consult and have done a lot of this stuff before.
That's awesome, Carol. Thank you. Yeah. Is that Emily?
Great. Yep, it is. It's Emily. Sorry with not being able to see whose hands are raised. I hope I'm not interrupting. Yeah.
We have one more person. We have Amy who wants to talk.
Okay. Very good.
But do you have something brief to say in response to
that?
Well,
I was just going to say, I'd be happy to hear Amy's thoughts, but a next step for us is clearly to sit down and have some conversations with Myville and talk about a proposal for how it could run, and roles and responsibilities and timelines and all of that good stuff. So, and I think we had, if I recall correctly, we had 2 Arts Council volunteers to help with this part of the reset plan. And so my next step would be to work with Sarah to try to pull together a group that can develop the proposal, and then we'll bring that back to the Arts Council.
That's great, Emily. Amy, do you have something you would like to add?
The briefest of points, but I think it's important. That place is not a gymnasium, it's our community center. It's the community for everybody. So the more momentum that we can get going with get like what she said, it's a huge deal to get something going in there again. Really important.
Thanks, Amy. Yeah, and thank you, Carol. I really appreciate your willingness to partner, especially since you all have it all figured out already. It seems like a perfect opportunity and situation for us to move this forward. And it sounds like we really want to make this a priority, and that we can work within our constraints, and we can do something good and move forward. So,
so Erin, I have
not started talking about this because I had a question, but are there other questions in general about the reset other than the gallery?
And I have a couple last points before you transition to your next agenda item. So if you're ready for those, I can relay those.
Sarah, it sounded like Sarah had something, if she's back with us.
I'm like the judge with the cat filter. Can't seem to figure it out tonight, guys. I'm so sorry. We've reached the limitations of remote meetings. I'm so sorry. I am not at home right now. I am in Nevada en route to Zion National Park tomorrow to run a 17-mile trail race. So I'm very sorry.
That's impressive.
very, very, very sorry. And now I'm this omniscient voice, but I was just gonna say, I mean, it sounds like Emily has some other things that what Emily had mentioned before about volunteers for the working group and moving forward with MyVol. That's kind of the piece that I have to touch on. But if Emily has some more items to cover, then let's go back to her and then I'll chime back in.
Great, Sarah. I just have one quick piece, since it sounds like you can take on the next bit about volunteers for the rest of the immediate action plan project. So my last piece would be just to convey to the Arts Council that we will begin having conversations with the Parks and Rec Commission and with Arts Council in June next month about 2022. So we'll be talking to all of you about scope of work, your work plan for the year, and potential budget considerations. And we will want to also speak with you a little bit about plans for staffing, liaison duties, etc., for the Arts Council. And we're anticipating providing the City Council with an update on the rec and arts reset plan in July. We'll be primarily focused on the recreation, community and event center side of things, but we're going to give them a high-level initial look at what we're planning for 2022 in July. We expect then they will take action on updates to the previously adopted 2022 budget in November, and so we want to give them a little taste in July about what will be needed for recreation, since that whole aspect of city work was not included in the initial 2022 adopted budget. And so that means that we'll be working with all of you throughout summertime so that we have some final numbers on the arts side to incorporate, say, by September, so that it can get woven into that whole citywide package that will go to the City Council in October or November. With that, Sarah, turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Emily. So again, apologies, but so piggybacking on the idea of volunteers and moving forward with some of these pieces, Ryan is here tonight to talk a little more about mostly music in the park. So I will save that piece for him after we get done here. But I just wanted to kind of remind everyone about the various areas that we had volunteered for in terms of the arts reset work, and in hopes that we can start getting going on these projects. It sounds like from the Mercer Island Gallery standpoint, just since we were just talking about that piece, Amy and Eric, if you two are both still interested and open in working with Carol and other members of MyVol, as well as Emily and I, and probably Ryan to some extent, to think about next steps for that, that would be fantastic. Additionally, we had kind of the long-term reset and policy planning area. Anameha, Suzanne, and Aaron were all interested in that piece. And then with the community arts project element, which we haven't talked too much about, that's the most nebulous thing, but kind of hoping in some capacity, maybe MyVol and other community organizations can participate in that as well. Suzanne and Aaron were both interested in that. So I just wanted to open it up to see if interests have changed at all. You know, I'm anticipating that over the next couple of months, we might scale back regular meetings like this, which may be good for me since I'm Zoom challenged now. But scale back these regular meetings and really focus in on more of that working group work. You know, meet out at the outdoor gallery, meet different places around the island, and really get together in smaller groups and start working on more concertedly. So with that, I'll stop talking and just open it up to see if interests have changed, if you want to get involved with something, or if your availability has changed. Now's the time to express that.
I see no changes, Sarah.
Yeah, I'm good with mine.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Well, then I'll move forward with kind of getting the ball rolling on a lot of those pieces, kind of what the workload will look like, except with maybe the exception of Mostly Music at the Park, which Ryan is going to talk about next. And again, I'll just sort of say this again, you know, I think it would be great if we could convene the regular meeting in June, and then from there, maybe decide as a group to use the summer to work more on these small group committee pieces. We can still do a special meeting or convene a meeting, you know, keep the meetings on the calendar, the regular meetings, if anything pops up. But I think that might give a little bit of a break from this kind of virtual world, give us some opportunity to reconnect with each other, reconnect with Arts on the Island, and then also move some of these pieces forward. So we'll talk more about that in June, but I just wanted to give you a heads up. I also, after this meeting, will follow up with kind of some next steps in terms of each of these working group items. But yeah, so that's all I have for this one.
I think that's an excellent idea, Sarah. And then we can actually have action items to come back as subcommittees and report back on. And sometimes getting the work done is hard over Zoom. So hopefully with people's comfort levels, we can do some small group meetups. I like it. So does anyone have questions about that? Or can we move on to our next exciting item? It's our fourth item of regular business, and it's related to the Arts Reset. Ryan Daly, Operations Transition Team Manager, has been brought in to assist with producing the 2021 Mostly Music in the Park series. Yay! Tonight, he's here to talk about the event framework and how the Arts Council wants to be involved with coordinating. Welcome, Ryan.
Thank you. As Erin and I had a chance to catch up just before this meeting, and I gave her a plea to keep me on track and don't let me get sidetracked, because this is exciting for us to be moving forward with an event. And after the conversations that we've had earlier tonight on what's more of a planning process, this is actually something that's going to happen, and it's so needed within this community. So there is going to be a pretty good amount of excitement, just not just from me, but I think from the community as a whole. So as Emily noted earlier, City Council made the appropriation of funds. Included in that amount was $15,000 to go toward a limited concert series for Mostly Music in the Park. In your staff report that you received, I provided some information on what I anticipated that to look like. Which was 3 dates held at Mercerdale Park toward the end of the summer, various concerts, differing bands, whatnot. So what I really want to touch on, and I think I put in the staff report that this would be a presentation. It's not a presentation. It's I really would love to have this be a conversation, and if I can walk away tonight with a thumbs up and a couple of council members to assist, we are off to a great start. So the first thing I want to touch on is staff responsibility. And so we, in previous Arts Council meetings, we'd kind of wait around what's it going to look like, who's going to put this on. Fortunate for me, actually, is I have a little bit of capacity. I shouldn't air that too loudly, but I have a little bit of capacity to do something that's fun like this. So from a staff standpoint, I would be the point person of coordinating the event, budget oversight, all of the contracting needs that we would have with sound engineers and the band specifically. And then I would also be the one collaborating directly with the Arts Council, preferably a subcommittee of Arts Council members that would work in concert with me to select the bands, move forward with some marketing efforts, and really highlight the Arts Council. I think that's one of the key goals that we should really keep in mind, is to promote the Arts Council and the work that you guys are doing, not just in the band or in the mostly music aspects, but all of the different items that we've discussed just tonight. So that's really what we're looking at. You know, some parameters I think that I want to discuss with the council tonight are, one, though I mentioned I have capacity, I don't have a lot of capacity. So going out for sponsorships, going out for running an event that's extremely large or has a significant volunteer or staffing element is just not something that we would be able to accommodate at this time. So looking at, you know, things like food trucks or vendors, that would be something we wouldn't be able to accommodate this year. So going back to really a concert series that's dedicated to the music, individuals, patrons coming with their own food, items like that would be something we would be able to accommodate. So thinking through that, the other item I would like to put, and maybe hand this off to Aaron, is who's interested in helping. And I can guarantee, Sarah can attest, I'm a lot of fun to work with. So I know you're all gonna jump up real fast, but I would pass that off to Aaron to help us solicit some assistance in this process as we move forward. So one of the other elements I just want to touch on, and this is the other discussion before I actually turn it over to Aaron to answer any questions, would be the dates. And the dates I proposed in the staff report were toward the end of the summer. Primarily, it gets COVID a little bit further behind us, gives us a little bit more time to plan. Obviously, this is a very expedited planning process, but the dates that were proposed were continuing on Thursdays, August 19th and 26th, and then September 2nd. And I believe September 2nd is the second week of school for the Mercer Island community. So that could be sort of a back to school concert, that kind of thing. But that's just one of my ideas. I'd rely on the subcommittee to help vet that one for sure. So with that, Aaron, I will pass it over to you, and happy to answer any questions or process planning elements that might come forward.
Thanks, Ryan. This is very exciting. I'm gonna take, because I've seen a couple of hands up, so I'm gonna take questions before I start talking. Shishi, I saw a hand up, but now I see it down. Did you have something?
Oh, I was just going to ask about the dates, and then Ryan answered them.
Okay, Suzanne.
My question is the no food truck because of the effort, or if you had a volunteer that said, I'll bring in, I'm thinking of a particular person that's done food trucks in the past. Yep. If that person said, I'll get you 4 food trucks, you don't ever have to think about it again. I mean, is that?
So the aspect around why we're putting that parameter on there is, one, to be the focus of the event being on the bands. I think the food truck element is definitely an option, or I should say a very good option in the future. This year, and even understanding that we would potentially have a volunteer, and he's excellent, I would call that out right away. It's just not something I think we're ready to support at this time.
Then my second question was sponsorship. Are you saying you want someone to go out and get the sponsorships, or you don't want any sponsorships?
Not that I don't want sponsorships, but there is an effort that takes place between a number of city staff that would need to go into coordinating those sponsorships and meeting those needs. And that's currently we have a budget in place that wouldn't require us to go out and get those. I think that's an element we really need to vet as we move forward. What's the appropriate sponsorship levels? What's the appropriate aspects? And we just don't have that built out right now. And so from a staffing standpoint, that would be really, really difficult to implement.
Is there, I hate to let that money go, but is there any way to just keep it super simple? Just say one, reach out. I mean, all the sponsorships are equal. They're all $500. Either you're in or you're out, and you have to get your logo and your check in by such and such date. And then we just get that onto the posters and the social media.
I think I appreciate the ideas around it. And I think it's definitely an option, but again, the staff capacity is so limited, and the focus has to be just so dialed in. And I hate saying that.
No, I hear you. You're
the Illuminate MI project.
You're being very practical. I appreciate you answering the questions. Thank you.
It's very hard for me. Erin, that was your cue to keep me on.
Sorry, this is what I have to say about it, is that I think I can sort of see both sides to that issue, in that one, it's kind of nice to just be able to bring this back in baby steps. Let's like baby step back to normalcy and look towards adding on in the future as we continue it. But at the same time, I can see Suzanne's point in that since sponsors have always been a part of MMIP, I'm curious if that the next year it would dissuade organizations from stepping up again, because they saw that we did it without them one year. And I see both sides to it. So, Carol, do you have?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. I just had a question. The MyVale members were hoping that we'd have an opportunity to put a tent at Mostly Music in the park so we could run children's art activities in a socially distanced way. And I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't know whether you've thought about tents, but we're very interested in running some small community art projects for the people in attendance in a socially distanced way, if that opportunity is there.
That's something I think we could look at. Again, I do kind of go back to the looking for partnerships and whatnot. That would be my worry would be additional groups wanting to step up. I would just need to vet it and figure out a process that could possibly work. So there would just need to be another aspect of thought toward it. And again, even from the city standpoint or from a staffing standpoint, it's another element that we would need to ensure coordination with.
Okay, so it sounds like there's some interest there, and we can continue to discuss, but understanding the city's constraints, right? Okay, I would say that I'm going to speak for Eric and myself, that we were the ones who raised our hands for that last meeting and have started to discuss. So unless Eric's changed his mind, I think, no, I don't.
Okay, good.
So we're still on board. If anyone else is interested in joining us, let me know for the little subcommittee. But this is very exciting. So it's a good, great thing for the city to be offering.
So if I could pose the question on the dates, one of the things I'm real excited, as you can tell, and I'm ready to get moving and start contracting with the sound engineer and whatnot. So I'd be looking for a thumbs up if if the council as a whole is good with the dates, I can start moving forward with that, barring that there's any situation with the sound engineer not being available.
I personally think that those sound reasonable towards the end of the summer, what you said. I'd welcome other people's input on that.
I mean, that's the best weather, right? So best likelihood of sunny weather, no rain. And COVID, like you said, COVID further behind us.
Well, there's two thumbs up. Anyone else want to give a thumbs up?
Let me just pop in on, I mean, the only one that's questionable to me is the September date. And it is rain wise, we do get, I mean, the closer we are to the first week in August, that is the driest week of the year. But I mean, would it be a nice substitute moving it forward just because we don't have Seafair? I know a lot of people leave town on that last mad. In fact, I can tell you from when my years running the car wash, that is a dead weekend in town. So a lot of people do leave. Doesn't mean that it's not
Which
something
weekend,
super
Suzanne?
special for the people that didn't leave, right? So it's just a question. I think it's a little drier earlier, and you know, maybe we might have better attendance earlier, but who knows?
Which date are you talking about? The
I'm
September?
saying the September 2nd date, which is the start of Labor Day weekend. Labor Day is the 6th, Monday the 6th. So you would be people making that mad dash. They haven't taken summer vacation all summer when they planned on it and wanted to do it, are suddenly saying, gosh, we have to go this weekend if we're going to go. And my experience is the town kind of empties out.
Well, school's already started, right? That's already the second week of school. So I don't know
I think
if you're.
school starts the 7th, doesn't it?
No, I don't think
I
so.
believe school either starts the 25th or the 1st from the calendar. I don't have.
Okay, so they start and then they do the 3-day weekend. Or-
Yes.
Okay, well, well, I don't know. So you think school start, I had that written down. So you think it starts in August?
Believe so.
I will look it up.
Pull up the calendar.
This is Sarah. I just pulled up the calendar, and the first day of school for 1st through 12 is September 1st. First school day for kindergarten is September 3rd. So then they go into the Labor Day weekend and then they come back.
So people will be in town because that would be the second day of school, would be Thursday the 2nd. Okay. Just a discussion item. I don't have a strong feeling about it. So it sounds like you already have a couple thumbs up for the proposed dates.
I think I think that it's nice to have two that are, you know, officially summer, and then the one where people are back now. I mean, you have a point, Suzanne. If that Labor Day is right then, some people don't start their kids back to school. I speak from experience that they just don't come back yet because it's a weird start date. I don't know why the district does that, to start them on a Wednesday and a Friday before Labor Day. So it might have less attendance, but at the same time, it's kind of like Ryan said, it's a nice sort of welcome back to the school year. There will be people here.
Sure.
You know, we had a couple in the middle of summer last time we did it where it rained and no one came. So it's hard to predict, but if that gives us more time to plan, and I don't have a strong opinion against doing it on the 2nd.
Well, how about if I'll go ahead and, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, she has a.
Oh, yeah. Ryan, I personally think those are well-chosen dates. I think it also gives you some more time to market it. I think people are just adjusting their mind to these sorts of events, you know, even if it's outdoors, later in the summer. With that said, unfortunately, I wish I could help you. I'm out of town and starting mid-August, and I'm reserving, our school starts late, September 8th, but I'm reserving the Labor Day weekend for a college campus visit. So, but you know, if in the meantime I could be of help, let me know.
Thanks, Shishi. Okay, Ryan, did you have one last thing to say?
All I'll say is what I'd like to do is I will get moving forward with the sound based on these dates. If things change, we will discuss it within sort of the committee and move forward from there. But I feel really good with where we are right now. If you think I'm excited, our city manager is very excited. So this truly is something really good for the community right now. And so as we can start pushing out some marketing and getting people to think about getting out of maybe the 2021 funk that we're in, it's an exciting time. So I know staff is really looking forward to it. I know some community members are as well. So I appreciate the Arts Council putting this forward as part of their immediate action plan, and we'll move forward from there. And I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it doesn't rain those 3 weeks, so we're in good shape.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ryan. We're very fortunate to have you spearheading this too. So with that, I'm going to move on to our 6th agenda item, which is to discuss the 2021 Arts Council officer positions. Last month, we extended the current officer positions by 1 month. Tonight, we need to elect new officers for the rest of the year. And Sarah has some comments on this, so we will welcome her back.
Hi, everyone. Sarah Bluvas, Economic Development Coordinator again. Just throwing that in there for the public record since I'm not on video. Erin and I connected earlier tonight. I also had a chance to talk with Amy and, kind of discuss this whole officer position situation. So we're kind of at a situation now where we need to make some decisions. I checked the rules of procedure today to see if it might be possible to either suspend elections for the rest of the year or do some sort of other status quo, keep everything rolling through the pandemic. And I couldn't really find a loophole. I have an inquiry out to the city clerk, and depending on what happens tonight after this discussion, I'll do some follow-up with her as well to see if we might have a little flexibility with your bylaws and everything, given the fact that we're still in a pandemic situation. But as it stands right now, your officer positions are extended through the end of the month. Tonight, there may be interest in trying to extend positions again, or I know we've talked about wanting to maintain some continuity as we continue through the reset process and kind of get through this abnormal situation we're in. But we also have an additional hitch, and that is Erin's term is technically up at the end of this month, and fingers crossed she will be reappointed by a city council on June 1st. But that gives us sort of a weird window where we're kind of at an impasse right now, and it would be nice to make some decisions. I think Amy has some thoughts personally about the officer positions, and I'm happy, since she's here, to kind of turn it over to her. But I think tonight, there are a couple of options. We can elect new officers. If anyone is really interested in volunteering, stepping up through the end of the year to steward the ship into port or harbor, whatever that phrase is. Or we may elect to kind of pause, and you all can direct staff to go to the city clerk's office and figure out what other options we might have. So not a ton on the table for options, but hopefully we can identify something that will work best for the Arts Council for the rest of the year and the work that we hope to continue.
Thanks, Sarah. We could do a lottery too, you know, like roulette or random number choice. No, I don't know.
Let's go back and tell Matt Loam he's in charge.
We've elected him. Amy, what were your thoughts on officer positions?
I just want to put it out there that I'd like to offer I don't need to be the officer, so I'd like to offer it up. Anybody who has the time and the willingness to put in the time, which isn't very much right now, but I'm sure it will ramp up again.
Should I put people on the spot and do a round robin, and let's just like go through each person and say, like, you know, heart to heart, would you want to do it? Suzanne, she, or is that, I don't know. I just,
That's okay. I'll do the heart to heart. I am not up for taking a leadership role at this point in time. I appreciate it. And I really appreciate what you guys are doing. And I'm totally endorsing the leadership that we have if they're willing to continue. It's been wonderful and the continuity's been wonderful and you guys have been great. And I'm sorry, I can't do more right now.
okay, appreciate the honesty.
I echo Suzanne's comments, applauding you guys, really leading us through this tough time. I'm still, as I mentioned before, I'm still trying to figure out some health mysteries based on some lab results. So I'm in the middle of it until I'm clear. I just don't think I'm in the right place.
Okay, I'm sorry to hear that, Shishi.
Thank you.
Thank you for, I'm gonna like go through every person here. Anna Meha, you're next.
Well, I think there's a lot of talking required and I'm not the best person to do that. I'm happy to do like, the back stuff, thinking and writing and executing things, but I think leadership at this time is a lot of work.
Yeah, it's not, I mean, it's mainly just the Zoom meeting, that you're leading.
Not my forte.
Hey, Eric, where's Gayleen?
I mean, you guys do such a great job. I will back what Anu Meha said, and I can busy bee, but with everything I got going on, I would like if you guys are willing, and I know you guys both have a lot going on, so.
Okay, so I don't know if like Sarah, I don't know if we can, like, I don't know if technically we can continue on. Is that what you're saying?
So what we need to decide kind of what, at least with the chair position, now you could vote to extend your current chair role pending reappointment by city council through the end of the year, so we don't keep coming back to this conversation. If that's not something that we're really interested in exploring, I would say the next route would be to direct staff to go to the city clerk and explore what additional options we have within the rules of procedure under your bylaws, because your bylaws stipulate the officer positions, and it's basically impossible to suspend your bylaws. So I think we need to, if there's not interest in stepping up for leadership, which I completely understand, given the situation that we're in, that may be the best next step, going to Deb.
Okay. I think that just to sort of veer off this conversation a little bit, this is sort of something I'm envisioning, is that once we start getting these like exciting things happening, especially music in the park, because we'll be in front of an audience, I think that we should start really like promoting ourselves and getting interest from the community, because we have some open slots too. And what, 2, 3? We definitely, but we have 2 right now. We definitely could recruit a couple members. So just to keep the momentum going forward of the Arts Council. It's an odd position, because I seriously think that I'm probably the longest reigning Arts Council member of all time on Mercer Island. When I first started, it seemed like the chair would always leave after their 2 years was over, and people have come and go. So it's just must be pandemic difficulties with people. I know taking extra work on right now is not an easy thing. So, but at some point, we've got to figure out a way to, like you said, the succession. We should make a plan for that.
Is
I
it
think,
possible?
no, go ahead, Anna.
Yeah, is it possible to distribute, your responsibilities amongst, the rest of us, and you can just be the face so that the load is easier?
Honestly, that's all it is right now. That's what I'm trying to communicate. Like, I wish that I personally could be doing more as the chair, as in attending the East Side Coalition meetings, like really reaching out to the broader regional community and helping. There's so many things the chair could be doing. And personally, I started back to work in February, that with the kids being at home for the Zoom pandemic and all the crazy changes with that, it's really hard for me personally to do much more than run these meetings. Now that we have some projects, I'm excited to work on those. But like, if anyone feels like they don't want to do it because it's like extra work, it's more, right now it is sort of just being the person who talks. So and I'm happy to continue to do this. I'm not going to like step down, but I think that we definitely should come up with a plan for to follow the rules. So,
And I can chime back in again and just say that I think some of those pieces, Erin, that you're talking about, kind of the bigger picture stuff, as things that we can absorb as a group through the working groups. So, if you're amenable to continuing being the Zoom leader and everything,
we should just change the name. I'm just the Zoom leader.
Then some of the other like big picture pieces that a chair might usually help facilitate or steward, we can kind of tackle as a group, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, get through this year and come back in 2022 with clear plan of where we're going, some new members, because we did some rock star recruitment, officers and other committee chairs who are crushing it. And I think that we can get to that point. So I'll connect with the city clerk since there isn't a super sway one way or the other, and I'll just work with Erin to kind of close that loop and figure out what needs to happen between now and the next meeting, if everyone's okay with that.
We could also do a rotating Zoom leader, like each meeting somebody else leads the Zoom. We could have a vacant chair position. Just an idea. I mean, I appreciate that, Sarah. And I think that as we we move into these subcommittees, that's exactly what's going to happen, is the work's going to happen in the subcommittees. And since we have such small, focused, precise goals, that hopefully what will end up happening is we'll all come back at these meetings and there will be sort of a report back from each subcommittee, and the work will go on that way. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of potential as the chair to be the connector for our group. And I wish that I had more time right now to be doing all that. But okay, that's all. So we don't have to vote on anything, right? Oh,
No,
there's-
we're fine.
Okay. You like bleeped in for a second. Okay, so let's move on to the public art. The final item of regular business is to get a public art update from Sarah.
And I will keep this super brief. A few just updates to let you know. You may remember there was a piece in the outdoor gallery that tipped over during the windstorm back in January. I met with the artist out at the gallery now a couple weeks ago, actually no, last week, and he removed the piece, and we're talking about some restoration for it because it actually was damaged. And then a possible reinstallation either later in the year or sometime early next year. So if they haven't been removed already, I am working with the parks maintenance team to pull out like the cones and caution tape that was over there. The other two pieces that were part of that installation are secure, so we don't anticipate any major issues, but it would be great to get the caution tape out of there because it doesn't look super fantastic. Additionally, exciting news about the MyVol donation. I had a call a couple of weeks ago, finally, with a representative from King County Library System. And you may recall that one of the unknown pieces with that process after we accepted the piece was trying to work with the library to install the photograph by Ron Reeder there. So my main issue is that I couldn't get in touch with the right person, but now we finally made contact with the library. So they are running the information about the donation up to the flagpole, and hopefully we'll know in the next couple of weeks.
Maybe in the next couple of weeks, we'll find out when it will be able to be installed. Is that what she was going to say?
That's what I think she was going to say.
Okay. Sarah, are you back?
I think so. I don't know. Maybe we just call this meeting.
I think you're making progress on the library and MyVol. That's awesome.
Making progress, library, MyVol, and still evaluating the public art assessment, the inventory that we got a couple weeks ago from ArtSite. So I hopefully will have some next steps on that in the next couple of months. But other than that,
well, good luck
I'm
on
out.
your run. I gotta prepare for a 17-mile run. That's crazy. I would love to leave this meeting with little like homework assignments. And I was just thinking, I'm gonna read out what I had written down, which is probably the same as what you said before of who was interested in which subcommittees. And if people are able to meet in person or at your comfort level, if you can do a quick phone call with the people or a Zoom, God forbid, another Zoom meeting, or meet up at an outdoor location with masks to chat. Maybe can we come back with like a little mini report of a first step forward? Like for MMIP, I have Eric and myself, and if Shishi, if you would like to join us on some of that, I can include you if you want to work on some of the front end planning. I don't see. Oh, there's Shishi, or not. It doesn't matter. But we've started brainstorming with Ryan, so I'm sure we'll meet in the next month with Ryan. And then for the gallery, I have Eric and Amy. Is there anyone that wants to join them? Maybe just have like a planning meeting with Emily and Sarah about, and Carol, maybe if you're interested. Yeah, that'd be great. And then for the long-term planning, Anna-Meha, Suzanne, and Eric is what I have. You could just meet and talk about like a quick, here are the main bullet points of the things we need to work on in the coming year. And then the community arts project, I have Erin and Suzanne. Does anyone feel like that's inaccurate? No.
Oh, Carol has her hand up. Yeah.
Yeah. I can, Mybelle can be involved in the community arts project as well. I guess I'm just sort of assuming that we'd be involved in that, and also in the gallery to the extent that you want input from us. And yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's great.
And for subcommittees, we can recruit people outside of the Arts Council, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Volunteers are always welcome. Sure. So, and would be a good way for them if they're interested in maybe joining, getting a like taste of what we're up to. Would
Or any alumni as well, if they're
Yeah.
ever, I mean, anyone, especially on some of these projects, if they were involved before, we could reach out to them.
Absolutely. So do we want to like have a point person for each subcommittee? Like I volunteered to be the point person for MMIP. Like I will be the one to reach out to people and set up a meeting. Do we have somebody to do that for the gallery, community art project, and long-term planning?
I can, Amy, it's up to you. You've got
I
the
was
most
gonna say either
experience.
one. I don't care. We're both fine.
Okay, well, we don't have to decide that now. I'm just thinking like, does everyone think this is a good idea to have sort of like a little assignment so that we keep some momentum going for the next meeting? We have a little bit to report back for each project that we're working on. Like thumbs up, quick thumbs up from people. Okay, all right. Okay, so that sounds good. Does anyone have any last comments, questions?
I do.
Yes.
Maybe we can help Sarah out and get this. This is just a pet peeve for me. This is hour reporting. Is there a spreadsheet online that we put our hours into, or?
It's Google form right now. So I can send out the link again so you all can report your hours. Thank you, Suzanne, for bringing that up. It's very helpful for us to report all the volunteer hours from the city perspective. So I will get that to you, and please, even if it's just recording the 2 hours a month that we've been on these meetings, that's better than nothing. So
if
thanks,
it helps
Suzanne.
people out, I went back to, I'm sure they're in the minutes, but I just went back, and it was on March 10th, our meeting was 2.5 hours long, and on April 14th, it was 1.5 hours long, and tonight it looks like about 1 3/4, and then usually I probably spend about an hour prep time. So
did you say in April it was 1.5?
No, yeah, 1.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Started at 6:30 and finished at 8. That was a quickie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Historic.
So I will try. If you send me the link, in fact, I'll promise to do it.
Thanks for reminding us,
Maybe we
Suzanne.
can all get that done for you.
Thank you.
All right, well, if there's nothing else, our next meeting is Wednesday, June 9th at 6:30. Please remember to report the volunteer hours, and Sarah will send the links. If there's nothing else to discuss, then I'll call the meeting at 8:15. And the meeting's adjourned. However, please stay in your seats until the city staff has terminated the Zoom. I don't know why.
Good luck tomorrow. Have
Yeah,
fun.
good luck, Sarah.
Thank you. So
Good luck,
sorry about the
Sarah.
tech issues. I'll be back to
Come
normal
back.
next
Make
week.
sure you come back.
I'll do my best.
Be
Good night,
safe.
y'all. Thanks.
Bye.